Producers, I got a little bit of a mixing mystery for you. Tell me if you can identify what is ruining my mix.
Get your things, pour me a drink. We going out tonight.
What about now if I get rid of the vocals? What about now with even less? What about now with just the drum sample, which is actually where this is happening? Could you hear it? Don't worry if you couldn't, because some of you will and some of you won't. And it's not always about your ears, but what you're listening on. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I've discovered it, how I found it and isolated it, and then how I fixed it, and talk a little bit about why it's so important to follow my own advice and monitor, if you're being serious about a project, monitoring on different systems. First up, this issue I cannot hear when I monitor on my ADAM A7Vs. These are decent prosumer active near field studio monitors, and they actually go all the way down to 40 hertz, which is well below where this issue is actually taking place. So it's not about frequency response here. When I use these 20-pound Sennheiser in-ear monitors, literally 20 pounds, it sticks out so badly that it's, in my opinion, I can't listen to it. That's all I hear when I listen to it in those monitors. So let's jump into the DAW, and I'm going to actually show you using Vision 4X where this issue is, and then how I fixed it, and hopefully that'll give you a little bit of information about how to mix and master. Anyway, let's jump in. All right, before we get into Vision 4X on the drums in the project, let's look at what healthy drums should look like. All right, this is what we're seeing here. We've got hi-hats, that's these. We've got our snare. We've got our kick that's pretty long and actually develops into a bass note here. Let's check out the side though. This is the mid signal or the centered audio. If we come in here to the mode, we can flip it to side. Let's see what it should look like. Again, healthy drums in the side frequencies. There's a little bit there. You can see this is what it looks like. So let's flip back over to the mid processing here on the healthy drum loop. Let's compare it to our unhealthy drum loop and see if we can spot a difference. I'm not letting the audio play because it'd be ridiculous. But if we look here, I mean, there is a lot going on. Like, I'm getting heat spots. This is clearly where the kick is. You know, there's some fills. This is the snare. So I can see those drums, but it isn't as clean as it is over here. There's a lot more heat happening, and it's actually getting lost in the sauce. But watch what happens when we flip to the sides now. So right out of the gate, look what's happening here. One, we've got all sorts of mid information down here. Now, most of you know by now, this is just not a good look. Any subby side material, you just want to roll off because it's going to cause wreak havoc with phase cancellation and so on, especially in clubs and things. Again, different video, but we don't want any of this. But look right here. Look how hot that is. This is telling us like this is a lot of energy happening in the stereo field, and this is where the issue is for real. So if I actually come in, I'm gonna get rid of our healthy drum loop now and just focus on this. We can actually hear, again, if we've got the right headphones or monitoring equipment. I can hear it. It's going and I can actually see that pattern here. That's the issue. And Vision 4X is showing me, so even if you can't hear it, I can see it here. We can see it together. It's starting around 100 and it's going all the way well into we can't even hear it. No speakers can replicate it territory. Quickest way to get rid of that would just to do a low cut on the sides. So let's do that. Got the Pro-Q3. I'm going to drop it in front of our Vision and I'm just going to use a low cut on side. Now to do that, I'm just going to hit this. I can come down here to, not mid, sorry, side. And I'm just going to do a low cut. And I'm going to pull it over here. A cool thing you can do is if you hold this, you can hear what you're actually getting rid of. And if I click and hold, I can actually do a sort of a sweeping motion to hear when it's a good time to stop cutting things off. So let's do that. Now, this is probably too much, but look what happened when I unsoloed it. This is what it looks like now. And if I bypass, most of the offending frequencies are in fact gone, and I can hear that in my headphones. So the question is now, artistically, do we want to remove that much from the sides? Because it is starting to eat up some of the kick and the snare and so on. Like that's looking a lot healthier here. Double click to get another point. This is in side, so we're just going to go stereo maybe. What we can do is, again, come right up and using my mouse wheel, I'm going to really narrow in on the Q here so we can focus on things. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to solo and sweep around till I find where the big issue is. So then I would just invert the gain. Or actually, no, let's leave the gain at 0. And I will just use a dynamic EQ node here, which is just going to say if the frequency goes above the threshold, then we want to pull it down with a dynamic EQ node. Okay, so that's it. This is amazing. You can hear it. You can see it happening, triggering the dynamic EQ. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do is just show you the actual corrective EQ I have, which is pretty much what we're seeing here. A little bit more. I probably don't need this or need to dip it down that far, but this is the best way I could figure out how to fix it because I really like the drum loop. Anyway, it was a good exercise on showing you how to find and fix an issue that maybe you didn't hear on one set of monitors, but you did on another. So let's go back and listen to it in the context of the track and see if it is as good as it needs to be.
Get your things, pour me a drink. We going out tonight. Forget your head, I'll pay for it. Don't even know how far we'll go.
All right, so there you go. Not my standard video here on the Plugin Boutique YouTube channel, but I think it's pretty clear that this is sort of important. It reminds me of the car test. I hope people are still doing it. I don't drive public transportation, save the planet. But if you still do the car test, that's what this is about. It's the same thing, just different system. There are some VSTs that we have on Plugin Boutique that will allow you to kind of faux do this, but if you don't want to check those out, just go use other systems. Use your friends' systems, wherever you can, throw the mix on there and make sure it's good. After a while, you'll be able to use things like Vision 4X and actually see these things, and it won't matter what system you're on. But until then, definitely go check it anywhere you can. Anyway, as usual, Joshua Casper, and we'll see you in the next one.